You done Smokes and Jokes yet, or is that coming up?
Yeah, just did it, what was that, 2 weeks ago?
How'd it
was
go?
The week before Blue Whale.
Yeah.
How'd it go?
It went really well,
Great.
really well. I had Jeff Neese in.
Yep.
He just happened to be in town, and so he headlined for me.
That's
Landry
great.
featured.
Oh, man.
My biggest fear is that I'm going to pass away and my wife's going to sell the guitars for what I told her I paid for them. I thought it was the postman.
That's what I always say.
Have you done 23andMe?
I don't want to.
Yeah, and he's one of those guys that you want to look at and go, if you're going to say something, it better be the truth because I'm going to.
Because I believe it. Yeah, right. That's fair. Yeah. He's a good guy, man.
Well, welcome to the Smokey Guys. I'm CR Parsons. I'm one of the Smokey Guys.
And I'm apparently the other Smokey guy, Kevin Price.
You know, we have a couple of guests with us. One
We
who
do.
intended to be on, one who didn't. But because she decided to smoke a cigar with us, we're like, you have to be on.
Yeah, that's fair.
What are you lighting up there?
This is the real man's smoke.
It's a heater.
Cowboy Killer is what that is. Introduce yourself. Tell them who you are.
Hey, I'm Rosco. That's it. Just a comedian.
Just a comedian.
That's all you get.
I'm Katie. I'm
Because
his
you're
other
not
half.
paying. You're not paying, so you don't get any more than that.
That's
so
right.
You pay.
It was funny on the way here. I was thinking, man, it's I don't know. Like if somebody asked me who CR was, I'd be like, well, he's a lawyer, he's a comedian, he's a bass player, he's an actor, he's an asshole. Like he's this whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You nailed all of it actually right there. It was
That's my
super
wife's
easy.
nickname for me is asshole.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah.
Then I think I cut you off. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I'm Katie. His other half. We're always together.
Better half.
Oh, how
sure.
sweet.
For sure, better half.
Better looking half at the
Right.
at the
Amen
very
to
least.
that.
Well, it's good to have you guys here with us. Now, have you guys seen the podcast at all?
Yes.
Okay, so you understand that we're just here to chit chat, talk
Yeah.
about whatever happens to come up comes up. It all works.
Yeah, shooting the shit.
Yeah,
Exactly.
That's all we do.
what we do. That's
Yeah.
what we do. So what's been going on with you? I know you stay as busy as I do almost.
It feels like it. Like I said, I've had a couple weeks down because we had Katie's birthday, and she told me she'd kill me if I did comedy on her birthday.
4 or 5. Oh,
So-
wait, I did do that. Like
Yeah.
4 or 5.
So, yeah, I've had a couple weeks down, and now I'm just getting ready to get busy again.
Nice.
Hitting the road again. I'm getting ready to head back to Duluth, Minnesota. Going up north, which is always fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice to get out of town, as you know,
Better to do it this time of year than January or February.
which I've done.
I have too. I did Bismarck, North Dakota in February.
I think we were Duluth last January, weren't we?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I gotta say though, we were there when it was like
30 degrees.
30 or 40. Like it was the same temperature here that it was there, and so it wasn't as bad as it could have been.
Yeah.
We were like 5 days past a blizzard there, so it wasn't bad.
Well, where I was in just outside of Bismarck, it was actually a little suburb of Bismarck. There's this beautiful river, and they said, they've got a dock and they've got this outdoor patio area.
Did you go ice fishing?
No, I did not, because I am not a cold weather guy. Yeah.
Which you would, by looking at you, you're 100% polar bear. So.
Well, bear, yes, polar not.
Okay. There you go.
But the thing is, I thought it was hysterical because they kept touting all of these outdoor things
That you're not going to do in January.
that we're not going to do in
Yeah.
January. Katie, you don't have to worry about that
Okay,
at
good.
all.
It just kept falling off.
Put the little
Yeah.
tribble on the table.
Okay, and that's what it looks like.
It does look like a tribble, doesn't it?
It does.
The trouble with
Kinda
tribbles.
cute.
I lived in North Dakota for a couple years, man. I loved
did
it
you?
up there.
Where?
Yeah. Dickinson.
Okay.
So I worked for the Dickinson Press, which is the opposite side of Bismarck.
Mm.
So same, it's southern North Dakota, but the other side of
Okay.
the state. It was beautiful, man. I loved it.
Yeah.
Probably would have stayed there, but for whatever reason ended up back here. Yeah, I went to take care of my great grandmother.
Okay. So
Yeah.
is your family originally from that part of the country?
It's my stepdad's family.
Okay.
But yeah, all my family lives in Missouri, man. We're just hillbillies.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Both sides, hillbillies from Missouri.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
Some of our best friends are hillbillies.
Exactly. I play a lot of shows in the hills of Missouri.
Yeah. Yeah, I know a lot of the same people that you know because My aunt's cousin. What's his Spring Street?
Oh, okay. I was just going to ask you because just
Danny
the other
Nieto.
day, Dan Nieto, yeah. Just the other day, I was running across his webpage or his Facebook page, and I saw you on there, and I'm like, how do you know Dan Nieto?
Yeah. So that's my aunt's cousin.
That's your aunt's cousin.
Yeah.
Okay.
So my mom's brother
Yeah.
married his cousin. Does that make sense?
Okay.
My mom's brother's since passed. So like I'm the only family that she has. So I'm like the guy that goes over and like fixes their toilet or you know, I mean, not that she's not able to, because she's 15 years older than me, you know,
Right.
but she's single and stuff, so I just go over and take care of like honeydew shit that she can't do.
Yeah.
You know.
Well,
but
Cliffy, just to catch you up as to who we're talking about. Dan Nieto, his band Spring Street, when my brother and I recorded our album, they're the ones that did the bluegrass music.
Okay, yeah. I
And
remember
Dan
that.
actually played guitar in our wedding, in Tammy and my wedding, and we've known Dan forever.
He's a killer guitarist.
Oh, unbelievable flat picker.
And he does a lot of like gospel and stuff. And
Yeah.
I think he plays for his church maybe even, but he's really good. Really talented guitarist.
I do a lot around Southwest Missouri, and I'm telling you, they're some of the best musicians and just great people.
Yeah.
Up there. I love going up that way, and I'll be back up there. I think when's the next one? End of October. I think
Yeah,
we're
I
doing
think
a
so.
big block party
What's
up in
Pinky's
Jasper.
first name? Jonathan?
So,
Do you know Jonathan Pinky?
Jonathan Pinky.
Plays
No,
the banjo.
No, not off the top of my head.
He's just he's a local guy, but like I don't think he's in bands or anything, but he's super good. Like
Well, we
And he
need
goes
an
to all the-
introduction. He's
Yeah.
not in the band. We need an introduction.
oh yeah, he's great, man. He just lives 2 doors down from us, but he goes to all the little festivals and stuff. And,
Yeah.
Like his favorite place in the world is the Banjo Hall of Fame. Like he's very
Very cool.
very eclectic, cool guy. Yeah.
I have always had great honor for guys that could play banjo because that.
I hear it's very difficult.
It is a
I'm not a
different
musician,
skill.
so I got a lot of props for you guys. I know it's difficult.
It's a different skill. That is for sure.
Yeah, because we have to do it drunk. I mean, we have to.
Sure.
Yeah. There's only so much whiskey, and you can drink
Do
and
you-
play guitar, and
Do you learn to play drunk or do you learn to play sober? Then
Well, I started learning to play just out of high school, so I started drunk.
okay, good.
yeah, I was I don't remember, so I probably.
And always a
started drunk.
bass player. Always a bass player.
Me?
Yeah.
No, I played guitar. I played a little bit of everything.
All right.
Just like everything else in my life, I
Sure.
dabbled.
You
just
do.
enough.
You're a dabbler.
I am. I'm
Yeah.
a horrible dabbler.
Funny whenever I
What's
started.
your favorite? Like
My favorite instrument to play?
anything, favorite anything like that
I
you
don't,
do.
I
Do
don't
you
know that I
it?
have a favorite anything because they're not comparable. It's like comparing apples to oranges. I can't compare doing pottery to doing stand-up.
You do pottery?
Yeah, I
I
do
got an uncle
pottery.
that does pottery.
What's that?
I have an uncle that does pottery.
I love it.
He's got his own kiln and shit. It's
I do
crazy.
too.
Yeah. Of course you do.
Yeah, right.
But you know, I started doing woodworking, but that's hard to compare to cooking, which I love to do. All of these things are so different that it's hard to narrow down. It's kind of like asking me who my favorite musician is because I listen to such a broad variety that I can't nail one down.
Yeah, it's impossible. I mean,
Who's the best guitarist of all time?
Phil Kagi.
Let's see. Okay, there's one name that you wouldn't hear very often.
I don't know who that is. Who is that?
Most people don't.
Yeah.
If you've ever heard Dust in the Wind by Kansas, the lead guitarist for Kansas, his instructor was Phil Kagi.
Oh, okay.
So that was a finger exercise that Phil Kagi gave him to work on, and he turned it into Dust in the Wind.
Nice.
Yeah. My favorite is Dole Dykes. I think that guy is flat out amazing.
Absolutely.
He's more of like a Chet Atkins style picker, finger
Sure.
picking, that whole deal. And I just think he's
Billy
the best.
Strings.
Billy Strings was
yeah, he's
amazing.
awesome.
We got to see him. What was that?
Yeah, did you guys go to that concert?
Yeah.
Yeah, that looked cool.
Got to see him. Marcus King's amazing. As far as newer guitar players, Marcus King is.
Did you guys go to the concert this weekend?
Yeah, I went to Zach
Went to
Bryan.
Zach.
I thought I saw pictures
Yeah.
or something.
Yep.
And you were like, oh, it was nice for people to actually be paying attention and not on their phones.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
saw that
exactly.
post.
It was nuts because.
He's a local boy, made it big. That's great.
Right.
Absolutely.
You talk about a
It's
guy
Mac's
that's.
brother, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mackenzie Bryan. Mackenzie Taylor.
Yeah, Mac.
I
yeah.
knew her before she was married, so
Sure,
I
sure,
remember
sure.
her maiden name. But yeah, she's been doing comedy around here for
Yeah.
I did one
6-7
show
years.
with her. She's really funny.
yeah, she's great. And her brother is Zach.
Yeah, which is so cool.
So I had met Zach before way
Yeah, he's just a
before
kid.
any of this.
Yeah.
Even like a year ago, we're hanging out, and they show up in a white van with a trailer, and now he's playing the BOK Center. It's
Yeah.
like, wow. I mean,
He
just
blew up very
so
quick.
fast.
Katie's really into country, and
Yeah.
she turned me on to him last year or something. And yeah, he's very good.
Well, I went to that concert, and I was telling them afterwards.
Did you go Friday or Saturday?
We went Friday.
Okay, all right.
And I was telling them afterwards, I have never felt so old in my life.
A lot of young kids. Yeah.
But it's not because of the audience being young, because I listen to everything, and I've listened to new bands that most of their fan base were
I know you're a
young.
big Swiftie. You like Taylor
I
Swift
love
a lot.
Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
I hadn't been to one of her concerts, but I love Taylor Swift. But here's the thing, and that is everybody in that room, 19,000 people, completely connected with Zach.
Yeah.
And they were on
That's
an
cool, though.
emotional level.
Sure.
And I just felt so out of the loop because I know a few of his songs and I like what I know.
Yeah, but you didn't know all of them.
I don't know all of them. I don't know all the words to
Yeah, but
any
I'm
of
sure
them
like
except
whenever you
something
guys
in
play a
their
certain
orange.
cover or something and you're doing some concert and you have the whole audience right there in your hand, or whatever, you're doing a set on stage and you've really got the audience, you know
Yeah.
that feeling though.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's hard.
Yeah.
It's tough, but whenever you have it, you have it.
Yeah, but I
You
said
know.
that was probably the closest thing
That's cool.
that I can relate to my parents seeing Garth Brooks.
Oh, sure,
Because
yeah.
he had an entire generation that just
Yeah.
adored everything he did.
Yeah.
And connected with him on that intimate level.
Yeah, I was on that Garth train for sure.
Yeah, so was I. But the older generation, he had stepped away from them.
Yeah.
And so they had to feel out of the loop. And this was the first time, I'm now 53, and it's the first time I've really felt that out of the loop.
I was going to say, the first thing I got whenever because he came out and he did a song with Charles Wesley Godwin that opened the show.
I heard about that.
He
yeah.
come running out and just got up and did a duet with him, and it was like a Beatle walked in the room. The minute he walked out of that
sure.
tunnel,
Yeah.
the whole 19,000 people started screaming at the top of their lungs.
Erupted.
And it was just the most insane thing I've ever witnessed. And that's the only thing I could think it would be like was like when the Beatles came to America, and all of a sudden, here
I
they
don't think
are.
people realize how blessed we are to have the BOK here.
Oh,
Like,
yeah,
right?
absolutely.
And Cains. And
Yeah.
both of
Oh,
those
yeah.
venues.
Absolutely.
And really, to a lesser degree, Tulsa Theater, Brady, the Brady.
Brady, yeah.
I mean, those three venues are like nationally known venues.
Oh, yeah.
We're top 20 every year at
Yeah.
BOK. I mean, we get everybody here.
We do.
Like
We do.
anybody that you can go see in Dallas or New York or LA, you could see here.
Yeah, prior to the BOK, we were one of those, just a routing stop. So you
might get them at the Cox Center or whatever, yeah.
But it would come in on a Tuesday or a Wednesday. It was never like a Friday, Saturday.
Sure.
Those are, because those are prime nights. Well, now with the BOK, we get those guys on a
Yeah,
prime
'cause we sell 'em
night.
out.
Yeah, we sell it out. And no
I mean,
problem.
I went to the BOK, saw Bill Burr. Like,
Oh, yeah, we did too.
although even I know Burr he would have done the Brady. Like, he would have done the Brady.
yeah.
But
He
and has.
would have killed it.
and I went and saw Rogan. Like,
Yeah.
I missed that one.
And I love Burr. I have a lot of respect for him, like as a comedian. I'm not as big a Rogan fan, but I think I have like so much respect for what he's done for so many comedians.
Absolutely.
Because it's really not just about Rogan; it's about everybody. How many millionaires he's made?
Right.
You know?
Right.
Not,
Well,
not
now
that
that he-
Rogan's not good, because he's good.
Now that he's got the mothership down in Austin, that's going to be...
I got an in at the mothership, dude. I'm so excited.
cool.
Working with this guy named Casey Rocket, who's a doorman there.
Uh-huh.
And Casey's like, anytime you want to come, I'll get you on. Doing comedy is fun, but like meeting these people that are working with these A-listers, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I've worked with a few, and they're great people, but
Sure.
but working with these guys, like, the further out I expand, I mean, you do all over the place. Further out you get, you work with bigger names, and then eventually you're working with this guy that you just saw doing his damn Netflix special last
Right.
week,
Yeah.
And it's crazy. Like, in 3 years, man.
Yeah.
In 3 years that all this stuff has happened, I would have never thought it in a million years.
Well, that's the way I always felt about Blue Whale Comedy Festival.
Yeah.
Was because it always seemed like the people we had in for the festival, the headliners,
They hit
and
that next
secondary
year.
headliners,
Yeah.
that next year,
Yeah.
we couldn't afford to bring them back
Yeah.
because they had taken off.
I feel like we had this conversation recently.
Oh, I'm sure we did.
No, but you're 100% right, because you guys had like Tig here right before she blew, and
Yep.
Michelle Wolf right before she blew. And, there's like all these people that you guys keep bringing in are the next year are really getting big. And even this year, like, the big headliners this year, I didn't know them as well. Ali Sadiq was the only one that I really, like, know his comedy.
Okay.
But the other names I knew, but
Yeah.
not as well. I watched that SNL, so I knew Sarah Sherman was. But
Right.
and I know that Blue Whale likes to bring in like some alternative people,
Mhm.
and I feel like
Yeah.
this was the alternative year.
I agree.
But I think it's cool that we get something different here.
Sure.
You know, because I could go see the headliners. You know, I can go to Oklahoma City or see them here when they come through.
Right.
But seeing somebody a little bit different at Blue Whale is fun.
Yes, absolutely.
Because
And one of the beauties of Blue Whale is the socializing.
oh, 100%.
The getting to hang out and actually get to know the comics, not just see them on stage.
Sure.
And to actually hang out with them, drink with them, chat with them.
I like hanging out with like the people from out of town, like Oklahoma City people too, and
Yeah.
because I feel like it's like a family reunion. Blue Whale.
Absolutely.
Because
Absolutely.
I know everybody and I love everybody, but I don't get some of y'all. I don't see that often. Like you and
Right.
I, we probably bump into each other every 3 months.
Right.
But when we see each other, it's always like, oh, great to see you, man.
Yep.
And
Like old home week.
yeah,
Pick up where you left
absolutely.
off. It's not like there's anything awkward about, oh,
Right,
why
right.
haven't you called me lately?
Yeah, no. Yeah. Well, I mean, he only books like 3 shows a year. So
Right.
that's right.
Hey, I don't like booking shows. I will do it occasionally if I have to, but I don't like producing shows.
I don't love it either, man. But I think it's a necessary evil at this point in my career. Like
I get that.
being newer, like booking shows has allowed me to meet a lot of people and definitely has expanded my horizons.
Absolutely.
So it's a lot of work too, though, and I'm not fooled by that.
Oh yeah.
I know how much it goes into it. So
Absolutely. Well, since this is a cigar podcast, let's talk about cigars for a second. What are you
Yep.
smoking?
This is a Superfly, but this is a test batch because this one came out of a box of cigars that you bought. That every one of them he tried to smoke would make him cough or kind of almost like get him congested. So this
That's
is
weird.
my second one out of that batch, and
Yeah.
I've yet to have any issues. So
The first one was
I think
last
it's all
episode.
him. It's just all him.
Weak
It's gotta
lungs.
be. Yeah.
Superfly, I love it. I love the wrap
that
on
cool
it. too.
wrapper?
It's cool, yeah.
That purple and gold,
Yeah.
very 70s.
It's a great cigar.
Is that an American-made cigar?
It's an Oscar, so it's Nicaraguan, Dominican.
Don't get me lying.
Producer Pete, Superfly. Nicaraguan. That's
Nicaraguan.
what I thought. Cool. Thank you, sir.
We don't have producer Kevin here tonight, so we've got producer Pete over in the corner.
Hiding just out of camera sight.
Yeah.
Our
As all good
producers-
producers do.
Exactly. They do not like to be on camera.
He refused to be on camera last time, so we didn't let him on camera this
Yeah, I
time.
think he wanted to be on camera this time, and now we're punishing him. We're just making it hard on him.
Katie, do you know what you're smoking?
No. Is it
Coffee.
on the label?
That's a Tabak.
I'm doing the old lady thing.
There you go. Get CR's readers.
Is it called a Tabak?
Tabak.
Yep.
Tabak. See,
Yep.
I can't even. Tastes like coffee. It's really good.
They are. They're really, really good for a flavored cigar. They're one of my favorites. Drew Estates makes them. They are very much tobacco forward, but they've got a little sweetness and a little flavor to them.
What are you guys' thoughts on the cigars that they put like in the containers with the whiskey to where it
Oh,
soaks up that
infused?
whiskey flavor? Do you like that?
Yeah, some of them. Some of them are great. Some are not.
I know they do that with a lot of cheaper cigars to kind of
Yeah.
add to the flavor or whatever.
Yeah, we had a buddy of ours who got on Cigar Bid one night and got a group of cigars, and there were some really cheap ones in there.
Yeah, he texts me pictures of them. He's like,
Put White
What
House
do you-
in there or something.
"What do you think of this cigar?" And I was like, "You didn't pay for it, did you?" I'm just saying.
So we
And-
suggested he do that,
So we
and so
said-
he did. He put them in a Tupperware with a little whiskey and closed it up and left it for a couple of months. And
Yeah, I've had some before. Maybe at the place where you do downtown. I think they have some down
classic.
there.
Yeah, they do some infused right there on the counter.
Yeah, not bad.
Yeah, they're not bad at all. Not bad at all.
They're definitely approachable for someone if you're not really into cigars yet and not sure what you're gonna like.
Sure.
That makes it a very easy entry level, approachable thing to.
What are you smoking, CR? We don't know what you're smoking.
This is a fun one.
This
fun
this
one.
one has a story.
Yeah.
This is a Man of War Virtue.
Okay.
Man of War is actually one of the brands that Cigar International owns.
Okay.
So it's one of their house brands. But this cigar in particular, one night we had a buddy over and we had bought a bunch of cigars and we were smoking, and he and I were about 3 cigars in, And this buddy started his second cigar, which was this one. And a few minutes later, he disappears to the bathroom, and we don't think anything of it till we realize he's been gone for a long time.
Yeah. Like,
About that time, he wanders out of the house, walks into the yard, and he goes, I'm just going to lay down. Lays down in the middle of the yard.
Face down in my yard.
What'd you put in the cigar, bro?
Nothing. These are deceptively strong.
It's like a natural wrapper, so it looks light. If you were just to look at it, you'd think,
it doesn't
that's
look like
gotta
a real
be, right.
robust
It's
cigar.
not imposing.
Mm-hmm.
But yet, this happens to him, and we thought, oh, maybe he just had a lot of drinks before he came over or something. And
Sure.
So we kind of chalked it up as, oh, he's just not really all that experienced with cigars, and it kind of got the best of him. So a couple weeks later, he calls me. He goes, have you had one of those yet? I was like, no, I haven't. I hadn't got there yet. And he's like, man, I'm smoking it. I'm kind of dizzy. You got this,
Don't give it to me.
Got a little bit of the spins from it.
Yeah.
It was wild because I'm used to strong cigars, but it caught me off guard.
So I'm thinking, he just didn't eat or something before. Usually it helps if you eat a good meal, then you have a cigar, and it kind of lessens the effects of it a little bit. So I gave one to my boss, and he smoked it, and he calls me, and he's like, dude, I smoked that cigar at a buddy's house, and now we're driving downtown Tulsa to go to a party, and I had to pull over. I'm so dizzy I can't drive.
Jesus.
I was like, what'd you drink? He's like, nothing. I literally had the cigar because I knew I was going to drink at the party. So I thought, I'll get a little cigar buzz, and then I'll drive to the party. He said he was so dizzy, he literally had to pull over and just wait it out.
Now, most cigars are not that way. Most cigars
Yeah.
are not that strong. They don't hit you like that. But this one in particular,
Man of war.
just
the virtue.
Okay.
And then I had one later, and I found, I prepared for it. Big old steak dinner. It's like, oh yeah. Didn't drink a whole lot of whiskey, just enough to kind of keep the edge, but I could feel it, man. I got the kind of the spins a little bit from it, and I was like, wow, that's a good cigar.
Now, what about you?
Strong.
yo,
You are the cigar smoker I know. I mean, I don't know anybody that smokes many cigars.
It hit me strong.
Yeah, got him first.
I'll be
which was the
interested to
crazy
see how it
thing.
does tonight.
All
And
right.
had a good meal and all that.
A couple nights ago, I grabbed a handful of cigars out of my humidor, went down to the patio because the wife was working late, threw it down, was not paying attention because,
Grabbed one of those.
well, yeah, so on the way down the stairs, I grabbed a guitar as well because a song hit me, like a brand new song. I was like, I got to write this down. I got to get out there and work it out. So I sit down, light up, didn't even look at the cigar, unwrapped it, lit it up, took a couple puffs, laid it down, wrote the song, grabbed it, started smoking again. And again, I was doing that in such a hurry, I didn't pay attention. So wife calls and says, hey, I'm getting ready to leave work, yada yada. All right, cool. I'll just be out on the patio when you get home. By the time she gets home, I can't stand up. I cried. And I'm like, I stood up and started walking towards the house. I was like, oh, I got to go back and sit down. This is not good.
How much of it had you smoked?
Probably a good 3/4 of it.
Or more, yeah.
Yeah, but I hadn't eaten dinner. I had a glass of whiskey that it was probably way too tall, But yeah,
Is there a such thing?
No, not really.
I've always said I don't know what I pour, but I don't pour singles, doubles, or triples. I pour
Yeah.
a CR pour.
Yeah.
Whatever. I don't know how to pour a single or double.
It's my favorite when I show up to an outdoor mic and CR's there because I know what's going to be there. There's going to be a whiskey glass with 4 fingers in it and a fat cigar.
That is
So it's
true.
always fun.
I am a little bit predictable in that respect.
That's
Yeah.
all right.
Now, you, my friend, did something that not a whole lot of comedians have the balls to do. And that is, you're one of those guys. I have been around the comedy community for long enough now. I've seen people come in and they're like, comedy is my life. This is what I want. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to dedicate everything to it. And it never fails. 3-4 months later, they're gone, and I don't see them again ever.
Yeah.
You walked into this comedy community and you said, this is it, this is me, this is what I want to do, this is where I want to be, this is what I want my life to be, and you have done it.
Well, I'm not done yet, but yeah.
But I mean, you literally laid down everything, and comedy is life.
I just started my life over at 40, man. I got divorced and my daughter graduated high school that same year.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, well, I don't have to take care of her anymore. I mean, she's going off to college. And she's a good kid. She gets scholarships and stuff, so I don't have to worry about that.
Nice.
And then Katie and I both came out of bad relationships at the same time and got together. And I just told Katie, I said, because we had just started dating, and I'm like, well, this is what I'm going to do. And I was like, if you don't think you're prepared for that, let me know now.
Yeah.
Because this isn't like, I'm not going to make any money for a while.
Right.
Because I know the truths of comedy, right? And she said, well, listen, she says, do you think in 5 years' time you can make enough money to cover your expenses? And I said, yeah. And so here we are 2.5, almost 3 years in. And I feel like that every couple months I take a step forward, right?
Right.
So, there's been a couple steps back too, don't get me wrong.
Sure.
Last winter was tough because I wasn't prepared for like the downness of winter in comedy. Like you're just not, unless you're, at a certain level, it's hard to stay as booked in the wintertime.
Right. Unless you get down in the southeast.
Well, that's my point to that is that I don't think that'll be a problem this year.
Right.
Last year it was a problem.
Yeah.
But, an extra year under my belt, an extra year of being on stage has got it to where I don't think I'll be as slow as I was last year in the wintertime.
I get that.
I'm already booking December and stuff
That's
now.
awesome.
So
That's awesome.
yeah, it's terrific, man. So I will say this, that yeah, I did. I put my whole everything into it, but I couldn't have done it without her. And I know that. So I'd probably just be living in my car if it wasn't for her. But I wouldn't give up on my dreams. So yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work, man, and you know this.
I do.
And you do 1,000 other things too. So I don't know how you do any of it.
I don't do any of it well.
I assume you just don't sleep, is what I assume.
dabble in all of it.
Well, do you ever find yourself, our minds like to play a lot of games, especially as a creative.
Sure.
I mean, I'm a songwriter, and I catch myself having to do this. But do you ever catch, like, your subconscious telling you, give up, quit?
Oh, sure, dude. I get depressed about every other month. I got a week of depression. Yeah.
So there's nothing booked, just when he gets into his little...
Yeah, like if you're like if I'm not getting on stage, I'm sure that you have a downtime too. I know you're busy, but I'm sure that you have weeks that you don't have anything going.
Well, sometimes it's right. I could be in the busiest part of my schedule, and all of a sudden it's like, and I guess I could equate it to like, how like Dexter, the show, he had the dark passenger that kind of guided him.
I don't, because I didn't watch Dexter.
Oh, you got to watch that.
I've heard it's good though.
It's great.
Yeah, good.
Well, so it's that whole like, it's almost like there's this subconscious like other part that just.
I don't know how to do it. You'll have to do it for me.
Just almost, it's almost like yourself is telling you, you're not good enough, you're not doing this, you're not making it, even though you could be in one of your highest moments of creativity and having great shows, but it's this weird thing that just every once in a while like creeps into your brain that starts telling you, give up, quit. And does that ever happen to you, or do you have a mechanism to fight that off?
So she's my mechanism to fight it off.
Okay.
That's your answer. Like I think yeah, that's it. Really, that's it. Like sometimes I just need a kick in the ass. I don't know if you guys are that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think a lot of that comes from probably like, I was an only child till I was 15 years old.
Okay.
So I had a sister come along when I was 15 and a brother when I was 18. Half brother and sister, but And so like, my mother was always that one that just kicked my ass in gear. If I was fucking being lazy or whatever, she'd be like, get after it.
Yeah.
That's what I was looking for. I thought that was a lighter.
Oh yeah, it's another
There's
It looked
another
like
lighter here. We got lighters everywhere.
Don't let him do it. I'm learning.
Oh, you got to open the
Top
top.
open.
There we go.
There you go. There you go.
You got it.
Am I
girl.
lit? Nice.
Yeah.
What is it? My uncle always said, a pretty girl should never light her own cigarette.
That's true.
I've heard that, actually.
I always light my bitches cigarettes. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. That works.
To which the response is, I always let my bitches light my cigarettes.
Well, I don't know if you're like me. I'm horrible when it comes to booking myself, because I will book myself busy as
We
hell.
talked about this recently.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's all right. We did talk about this, because I'll book myself busy as hell, and then I will start doing the busy.
Right, and you
I will
forget. Oh yeah, in 3
Yeah.
weeks I don't have anything booked. Yeah.
Until all of a sudden I'm looking at my calendar, I'm going, why don't I have anything booked for the next month? Oh shit.
So I'll say up until this year, yes.
Yeah.
But this year I decided I'm always going to be working 2.5, 3 months ahead, because I ran into problems last year where I'd book, I'd be like super busy for a whole month, and then like you said, I wouldn't I'd get to the last week of the month, I'd be, oh, shit, I don't have anything next month.
Right.
And then I'd be rushing to try to fill those spots, or like calling people, and I really hate calling people that ask to be on anything.
Absolutely.
So I'd rather someone call me, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so now I've gotten to the point where it's like, well, if somebody hasn't called me already to book me on something, I'll book a show.
Yeah.
I'll do a show of some sort. That'll be a theme. I'll bring somebody in from Texas, or I'll bring somebody from Arkansas. Somebody's not from around here, and I'll book a show, and I'll just put myself on the show.
There you go.
So at least I have some income coming in.
Sure.
And I've been really blessed to be able to work with, like, Tulsa Comedy Club has been really good to me.
Mm-hmm.
And also, like, Loony Bin with the new owner, especially Mason.
Mm-hmm.
We're putting on a show this Sunday. We're doing the first roast battle that Loony Bin's ever had.
Oh, nice.
So we're excited about that. That's going to be fun.
That will be fun. That will be fun.
I'm going to host it, and we got people from Oklahoma City and Tulsa and stuff. It should be a really fun time.
I hope people actually roast each other. We had a roast battle one time where everybody just was trying to be nice.
Oh, this won't be half-assed, yeah.
I hate roasts. They're mean.
Well, they can be.
Don't ever give me a birthday roast.
You know
Okay.
Spencer Mills?
Oh yeah, I know Spencer.
So Spencer's already putting out like videos on it. Like he's making these videos talking shit about everybody, and I love it.
Nice.
Like I think that's what it's fun, right? Like I feel like roast comedy is like the purest form of comedy, because all you're doing is you're just taking your opponent, and which was generally your friend, and you're just finding their most insecure thing that they're most insecure about,
Right.
and just making fun of it. Like, and it's all out of love. Like if it was out of hatred, it'd be different. But there's very few people in comedy I hate, right? You know, there's always gonna be one or two, but there's very few. Most people I love.
I grew up always saying the wrong thing at the wrong time.
But you're guys, you give your friends shit. That's what we do.
Yeah, but I always feel like I'm going too far with everything, and so I've always hesitated with roasts. But
I bet you'd be fun. I want to put you on one now.
Oh, the problem is I dig deep.
As you should.
And that's fun. But I always love being on roasts because I love getting roasted.
Sure.
Because I get new material when people roast me.
Dude, I love that. Like every roast I'm ever on, I can go up before the person and be like, all right, here's the 4 things they're gonna say.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're gonna make fun of me being fat. They're gonna say I look like Fred Durst. They're gonna say Katie pays for everything, and they're gonna say that I'm a meme comedian. You know, these are the 4 things that I'm gonna get, and I just know going into it. So it's like, I love when somebody comes at me with something that's not those 4 things.
Right.
And they're like really digging for something. It's so much better.
Yeah.
The best roast comic in Oklahoma is Julie Drake.
Oh,
and
yeah.
no one would ever think that.
Yeah, because she's so
she
sweet.
has a sweet demeanor. She's super funny. But, like, she wins Roastamania in Bricktown, Oklahoma City, like, every fucking time she's on it. She's a killer. You know, I think that, like, yeah, I love roasts, but they're so much fun. And, yeah, we've been super lucky, man. Like, we've done Best of Tulsa and 2 years in a row, and that's been super great. You know, last year, first place was Ethan Sandoval, who's now in Chicago. Second place was Zahava, who's now in New York, doing comedy.
Yep.
This year, Nicolo won.
That's awesome.
And Trevor came in a very close second place.
Yeah.
So that was, I mean, both those guys are really good. Like,
Oh, yeah. Trevor's doing big things.
I'm so proud of Trevor and I become really close over this last year. Like, there's there's always that comic that you could call on the phone and just bullshit with, and that's who Trevor's become to me.
That's awesome.
And you know, throw an idea at him, and because I've been working on this one joke for like a year, and I just can't find it. You know? And so I just call Trevor with it, and he's finally helping me dig out what it is. You know what I'm sure you got
I know
something.
exactly what you mean.
It's funny, I met Trevor the first time was a freaking 2-hour car ride. I'd never met the kid before.
Oh, did you go somewhere with you guys?
Yeah, and so we had to jump in a car and drive for 2 hours to go do a show.
First time he ever featured.
Yeah,
was a show I was doing down
Trevor's
in
so good, man.
down in Oklahoma.
Just a great dude, man. I had so much fun getting to know him, and it's funny how you spend a few hours in a car together and feel like you're buddies after.
I do kind of miss that. We did a lot of that last year. We haven't done as much this year, like the road trip stuff.
Yeah.
But there's something about a car full of comedians. It's just like, it's brutal. Like Katie swears that she doesn't like comedy, but every comedy show we go to, she's the loudest person laughing. So I don't know. Yeah.
That's a good sign, though. That means it's good comedy. I have a note from the producer.
Okay.
It says the Oscar Superfly is Honduran, not Nicaraguan.
Ah, well, we're close.
So it's Honduran tobacco.
Yeah.
So
It's one of those.
Now I want to go to Honduras.
I do too. I want to go to Honduras. I want to go to the Dominican Republic, and I want to go to Nicaragua. And
Just
go
for
to
cigars?
all of the cigar
Yeah.
places.
What about Cuba? I mean,
Well, I'd be fine with that. My personal opinion is Cuban cigars are not what they were.
I think they're
pre-embargo.
overrated.
Yeah.
Yeah, nowadays they're overrated. I think the Dominican and Honduran that are grown from the Cuban seed are just as good, if not better.
I'm assuming you guys have had Cohibas. I mean, I'm
Oh, yeah.
assuming
yeah.
that's
Oh, yeah.
something you guys can get a hold of.
Yeah.
Are they legal now? Are they illegal? Because I know they were kind of legal when Obama was in. Is that?
Obama opened up Cuba, but then Trump reversed that because
Okay.
it was just a presidential
Something on
signature.
paper.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can no longer bring in Cuban cigars.
But
Other
they still
than-
get
I
here.
think there's one place that is like grandfathered in here in the States, and they can get them in. But
Yeah.
other than that, you can't.
The only times I've ever had Cohibas when I've been on cruise ships.
Right.
And they're, $40 a cigar or something, which is
And
just
there are a
crazy.
lot of fakes.
There's a lot
I've
of
heard
folks
this
out
too,
there.
yeah.
Yeah, you got to be real
Lot of
careful.
fakes.
Yeah, so I buy them at the cigar shop on the ship, and I think that's usually pretty safe. But they say if you try to buy one like on land, there's a 90% chance it's fake.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would,
Especially if
I
you're
would
paying
say
$8
higher
or
than
something.
90.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wouldn't doubt it.
I would say
It's not
higher.
hard to make a wrap, I guess.
Yeah,
It just
exactly.
says Cohiba on it.
Exactly. Well, it's always funny because you see people come back and they'll have cigars, and the Cohiba will be off center or
Yeah.
it'll be off.
Oh yeah, I'm
midway,
sure of that.
Misspelled. You're like,
misspelled. You're like, there's no way that's real.
It says
bro.
Cohita.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry you paid $40 a stick for those.
He
but
only
those
has
are-
one B in it. I don't understand. How'd you get three? I don't know.
So you know a little bit about cigars. I didn't think you smoked cigars.
I do, man. I just don't smoke a ton of them. I like a good cigar, but the thing is like I feel like that I already kill my body so much with all the other drugs and alcohol that I put into it that like I don't need another vice.
Yeah.
I get that.
So yeah.
Red Bull is your vice, huh?
2 of them a day at least.
Yeah, it's 2 Red Bulls a day.
2 packs of cigarettes.
2 packs of cigarettes a day.
Yeah.
Whatever drug I do during the weekend, whiskey. I quit smoking weed this year, so I guess that's something.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I'll have an edible every now and again, but I found that weed wasn't conducive to my comedy. Like, because my
I understand
delivery
that.
is pretty slow on stage anyway. Like, it's my tone on stage and stuff is really kind of a laid back tone.
Yeah.
I don't need that to be more laid back.
Yeah. I
So-
can see that. My problem is I don't know that I could smoke weed and then go on stage, because when I do smoke weed and I do a little too much, when I get just beyond that happy
Sure.
and get to that high point, I'm sitting there carrying on a conversation with somebody, and they'll stop talking, and I'm like, oh shit, it's my turn to talk. What am I supposed to say? Wait, did I just say am I saying what I'm thinking right now? I get way in my head.
But sure, we know people like you're talking about Trevor. Like Trevor's the consummate pothead. Like he
Oh,
can
yeah.
smoke all day long and get on stage and crush it.
Yeah.
I just can't do that. It's
I
just
couldn't
not me.
either.
Zach Amon's the same way.
Yeah.
Well, I love Zach, but he can smoke all day, and I'm like, I don't know how these guys do this.
Yeah, I don't either. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it.
Especially they like ripping those what are they called, the dabs.
Yeah.
Ugh. I did one dab one time. That was enough. Yeah. It's just not for me, man. And I was smoking weed like since I was 18, but that was back when we had like hockey puck weed. You remember that stuff? That
Oh
was
yeah.
good stuff.
Oh yeah. When it was mostly seeds and stems.
Yeah, man, and you'd have to, you spend 30 minutes breaking up a joint, and
Yep.
smoke the whole joint by yourself, and just have a little head change, and that was
Right.
perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Nowadays,
how I
you
grew
take
up on
2 hits off of a joint, you're just fucking ripped, and I'm like, oh man, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah. Although I will tell you, the old hippies back in the day had the stuff that we now have.
Oh yeah.
Because the old hippies used to grow their own.
My
And-
mother smoked weed since she was 16 years old or
Okay,
something.
so
Yeah.
she was probably growing her own and had some much better stuff.
I'm sure she's had some good stuff at some point, but even she says the stuff nowadays is too strong.
Oh, yeah?
But she has like she goes to the bud tender, she got her card or whatever, and they like know what she wants.
Yeah.
Like, she wants, because she doesn't smoke like all day long. She's like at night.
Okay.
Like she's supposed to smoke weed to go to bed.
Yeah. Yeah.
she'll smoke a joint and then have a piece of chocolate and go to bed. You guys should see my mother. She's like 5'6", maybe 100 pounds.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you'd be like, there's no way you came from
She's
that.
so cute.
My mother is a tiny little lady. My dad was tiny too, man. I don't know.
Really?
Yeah. I always say I was a milkman's
I was
kid.
just saying, I thought it was the postman.
That's what I always say.
Have you done 23andMe?
Nah, I don't want to.
That's my thing. I'm always fearful of that. My dad was a musician too, so it's like I don't need to end up with a whole bunch of other brothers and sisters. And
You and your brother, you know that you're brothers.
Right.
Yeah, there's no denying that. So at least got to say something.
Well, what do you have coming up? Anything big?
When do you guys release?
This will be released sometime this week.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So Saturday is Best of Oklahoma.
Okay.
Tulsa Comedy Club. Doors at 7, starts at 8. $15 to get in, man. And we got 7 of the best comics in Oklahoma, hands down. Nicola will be on it because he won this year's Best of Tulsa.
Very cool.
Zach Amon. Do you know the list? Do you remember off the top of your head?
Yes.
Brandon Kilo
Yes.
from Oklahoma City.
Okay.
Ava C.
Ava C from Oklahoma City.
Okay.
Matt Farrell from like Western Oklahoma, like
Okay.
Enid.
Yeah.
I feel like we're missing somebody.
I know I'm missing 2 people.
Cepeda.
Cepeda. And Lacey Raines was on it, but she is now doing a show in Joplin with Trevor
Okay.
that night instead.
Okay.
There's one
that-
more.
Oh, there's one more.
Yeah, that's all right. But anyway, it's going to be a great show.
Yeah.
So if you guys don't have shows on Saturday, you guys should come out. It'll be a fun show.
Sounds
And then
like a
Sunday is the roast battle. It's
Right. At Looney
we're
Bin.
calling it Battle
Battle
of
at
the
the
Bin.
bin.
Battle of the
very
Bin.
cool.
Yeah, it'll be a fun show. And it's a cheap show too. I think it's only like 10 or 12,
Oh,
which is
nice.
cheap for a bin show.
Absolutely.
And it's like it's 6. I think
6.
Yeah, I think it's 6 o'clock.
Very
And
cool.
it's like real roast battle rules, so it's not like there's 3 rounds to each battle.
Uh-huh.
So you know like a real roast battles are like on TV and stuff. So yeah, I got some writing to do this week for that because I want to make sure I have some good
Who
shit
are you
lined
up
up.
against?
I'm hosting,
Okay.
but I'll get everybody.
Of
you
course.
know.
Oh yeah,
That'd be
you got
good.
to.
Yeah. So and we got some good judges too, because I've got Katie Stiles judging,
Okay.
and then Mason, the new boss man.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna have Adam Bush, but he's not gonna be in town,
Oh.
which would have been fun because Adam's so
yeah,
clean.
Adam,
I think.
and such a nice guy.
Yeah, and then Blake's also gonna be
Okay.
judging. It'll be good.
Very cool.
And the audience votes counts too. So.
So you get to do your best Jeff Ross impersonation.
Oh man, I love Jeff Ross, but I'm better than Jeff Ross. So.
Shave your head. And
Yeah.
So I got to hang out with him at Thackerville one day.
Oh, he's great, man.
It was me and him, Dave Attell, and we got to go hang out and have steaks and just.
Oh, I've seen
and,
pictures from this
man,
night.
he is. Yeah, he's always
He's just hit.
Yeah, he's always roasting everybody
Yeah.
in the entire room. And so whenever I first met him, he just started in on me, and I'm just like, at first I was kind of like,
You
okay.
annoyed by it?
Well, but I was like, oh, I get it. Okay, this guy he's never off.
Yeah,
he's always
he's
on.
not, no.
And so you just give it right back to him, and he's fine with that. Because if you don't,
busted balls.
Yeah, and if you don't, he has no time for you.
Yeah, so
He
he
won't
grew
suffer
up.
fools.
So he grew up like I mean, obviously a Jewish kid, but whenever he first started in comedy, he started hanging out at the Friars Club, and at the Friars Club, that's all those
Yeah.
guys did. You know, so I think him being like in his early 20s, hanging out in a room full of 50, 60-year-old men,
right.
like just conditioned him that like I've got to always be on, or these guys are gonna kill me.
Right. Or they'll eat you alive.
Yeah, and so I think that like that's what made him into what he is. Jeff Ross is great. Like,
And I
you
think
know.
that's the way he also can distance people. Because when you reach a certain level of success, everybody kind of wants to be around you.
Everybody wants a
to be
piece.
Yeah, and I think that's another way he can kind of keep people at a distance is because if he goes hard at them and they shy away,
They'll
back
buckle,
away, and
yeah.
then they'll just go, oh, I don't want a part of
I'm
this.
sure you've hung out with quite a few comedians. I mean, you know.
Being around these guys,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's
Do you get
fun
tired
and-
of it?
No, never. No, it's and I've met some.
She
of
gets
the-
burnt out.
Katie's going,
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
been tired of it for 3 years now.
Yeah.
And he's only been doing it 2.5
I like
years.
it
Yeah.
for 6 months.
But probably one of my favorites that we got to hang out with was JB Smoove.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely,
I can see
one
that.
of the sweetest guy. He's just awesome.
I
But
can
he's
see that.
another one of those that man, he just takes anything in the room and makes it funny. It doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah.
He's just got that thing about him.
And he's also one of those guys that when he walks into the room, you know he is the biggest star in the room. But when he's talking to you,
You're-
you think you're the most
He makes you
important
feel better.
person in the
Yeah.
room.
That's cool, man.
He has this ability to make you the center of attention.
I felt that way when I
talking
hung
to
out with John Reap. You know.
Oh yeah,
John Reap.
yeah.
When I hung out with Reap, he made me feel the same way, man. And you know, I give him like a ton of credit, like for boosting me up, because when I worked with Reap at Tulsa Comedy Club, he told his manager
Yeah.
that he's like, this kid's good, get him out on the road. And that's why I now go to Minnesota and stuff, is because of Reap.
That's awesome.
And you know, we had the bad storms here a few months back.
Oh yeah. We
Electric
talked
was
about
down.
him.
We were jumping back and forth between houses because our house didn't have electricity for 11, 12 days.
Yeah.
Because we had to get our
Weather.
line
Weatherhead.
came down, the weatherhead had to get
Yeah.
replaced. And so my phone was like spotty, like with that, and I missed a call from Reap wanting me to go do Buffalo Run.
Oh.
Yeah, and it just broke my heart, like
I'll
once I
bet.
found out
Yeah.
about it, because I was just like, oh my God. But you know, a year and a half, 2 years later, him reaching out to do, he remembers me.
That's awesome.
And that means something, you know.
It does.
And working, like you said, with James Johan, you guys had him on the show. He, super great guy, and what's the guy named from LA? Tim Gaither.
Oh yeah. Tim's
Also
great.
very cool guy, and like
great.
we kind of bonded over wrestling because he wrestled. I wrestled in high school.
Yeah.
And he's like all into
Oh, yeah.
real wrestling.
He was big wrestler.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, he's a little guy, but he was a big wrestler.
I graduated with one of the best wrestlers like in the history of the United States.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Shane Roller. He went to Oklahoma State,
Yeah.
and he was a 13-time state champion
Wow.
through school. So he won from the age of 4 till we graduated every year.
Wow.
Then went to Oklahoma State on a full ride and won like 3 national championships. And then went on, got hurt and didn't make the Olympics.
Yeah.
Went on to do
Wow.
MMA fighting.
I don't think I've ever told this story on the podcast, but I used to work with a guy who is in the Wrestling Hall of Fame over at OSU. Him and his dad are the only two.
Kenny Monday?
No, this was Mickey Martin.
Oh, okay. I know the name.
Him and his dad were the only two to ever win was outstanding wrestlers. So it's like the Heisman of wrestling.
Right.
They're the only father-son that
Oh, that's
ever
cool, yeah.
won it. Anyway, so I was working with him, and he was in his mid-60s. But he's a little short guy, like 5'2".
Yeah.
Doesn't weigh anything.
Yeah, wrestlers
even at
don't have to be big.
65, he'd be cutting weight because he had somewhere he wanted to go, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" He's like, he
Yeah.
wouldn't eat for 3 weeks or whatever, and it's like, dude, seriously, calm down. But
Those wrestlers fuck their bodies up.
he
For
is
sure.
he was absolutely one of the, even at like say mid-60s, would fight at the drop of a hat.
Yeah.
And just knock people out. Well, one day we were in the office, and there was probably, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 of us guys in there. And a lot of times we'd all be in the office trying to make phone calls, and everybody's being loud and shit. And sometimes those calls aren't going your way. Well, this was Mickey's day. And he's sitting there, he's making these lease calls, trying to get people to lease their minerals to us so we could go drill an oil well. And I hear him on the phone, and he popped off to the guy, and then the next thing I know, he just takes the handset and slams it down. And at the time, we had this brand new kid. He just came out of the University of Texas, played baseball, got drafted by the Twins, I think.
Yeah.
Anyway, 6'3" or so, big kid, you know, all muscled up.
Let's either this.
Anyway, Mickey slams that phone down, and I just looked at him and I said, "Man, you look like you're having a bad day." He's like, "Oh, I just, can't get anybody to lease." Bitching. I said, "You know what would make you feel better? So if you went over there and knocked Hunter's ass out, and Hunter's a big kid, and Hunter stands up and goes, 'I don't think you can do it.'"
Oh God.
And Mickey walks over, takes about 3 steps, just reaches up, touches his on the neck, and the kid just drops cold.
Yeah.
Mickey catches him and lowers him to the ground, then kind of smacks him upside the head, and the kid opened his eyes, and he's looking at me, and he goes, "What are you doing in my room?"
Oh, he was
He had no clue where he was.
Yeah.
And this happens in a matter of seconds.
Yeah.
It was amazing to watch. And kind of fast forward a little bit, I took Mickey out on the road with me to do a bunch of leasing, and we were in a courthouse one day, and all of a sudden this guy walks in, and you see his eyes just bug out, and he comes over and he's like, "Coach Martin, Coach Martin." Well, it was a guy who at this point is probably in his late 40s, early 50s. Or maybe, well, I guess, well, it'd be probably 40s, I guess, anyway. Or maybe by then Mickey may have been in his 70s. But anyway, this guy's freaking out because Mickey used to coach him in high school.
Yeah.
Well, Mickey always told us all these outlandish stories, and we all kind of thought, there's probably a little bullshit in this, right?
Nope.
This guy starts telling the exact same stories. We're like, holy shit, this is all real.
Yeah.
He's knocked out like 600 people. All right, cool. And that was in one fight.
Yeah, no, I know, yeah. You don't mess with wrestlers, man. Like,
No, they got cauliflower ears.
Yeah.
Fuck that. Yeah.
That's funny that you say cauliflower, man. I went to school with this kid, and he wrestled, like when I was wrestling, and he was maybe wrestling at like 130, like a tiny little dude, like 5 foot nothing, 100 nothing. And you'd be taking a shower, and he'd come up behind you. He had, both of his ears were cauliflower ears. Like, I don't know how he heard out of them. He'd come up behind you in the shower, and he'd slap you in the neck with his dick. The kid had a dick like a donkey, and he was like 5 nothing, 100 nothing, and he'd slap you in the neck with his dick. It was the funniest shit.
That's funny.
Yeah, that's the kind of crap that we went through. Those were fun days, man.
Boys are gross.
Before you end the podcast, how did you get into acting? If that's okay, Katie, I wanted to ask you this. Yeah.
Most recently, I've gotten into it just because they've filmed so much here that I've got in touch with one of the casting agent people. And
So you just know somebody and you just call them and say, hey, I look like a biker, put me in something?
no, they send emails out occasionally with what they're looking for.
Because I knew you were on
so I
Tulsa
submit.
King and
Yep.
Res Dogs.
Dogs
And that's cool, man.
Yeah.
I was like, I told Katie, I was like, I got to get in this acting gig.
Yeah, it's been fun. It was not something that I never expected to do. I did some years ago,
Sure.
just some extra stuff here and there. But as so much stuff was filmed here over the last few years, I've gotten to be in more and more.
I feel like I really got to know you whenever we did that scene for Landry's show.
Oh yeah.
You know, we spent like 4 hours hanging out playing fake poker.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the first times that we had like real conversations.
I think so. Because
And-
one of the things about acting is you learn very quickly.
It's a lot of
that
downtime.
It's a lot of downtime.
Yeah.
You're spending a lot of time sitting around waiting for the cameras to get set up, the lighting to get set up, the prop people to do their stuff.
Sure.
There's all this time that you're just twiddling your thumbs to then film for a few minutes
Yep.
and then have to stop and twiddle your thumbs again while it's reset to shoot it again or
Yeah.
shoot something a different angle or whatever.
How many episodes of Tulsa King were you on?
Just the one.
Okay.
There were a couple of other episodes that had bar scenes that I was there for and we filmed,
But
but
you
I was
didn't
so
make it.
far in the background that I either ended up on the cutting room floor or I'm in the shadows so much.
Have you
can't
done
tell
that
it's
too?
me.
No, haven't.
You're just too
Haven't done any
busy.
of it. Yeah, just I don't know why. I mean, I get the emails occasionally.
I was gonna say I could see you
Yeah.
doing that too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it'd be fun. But I was
Yeah.
gonna ask about the terrible people thing, see, because one of my songs is in that.
Yeah.
And
That's right.
Landry surprised me one day. He said, "Hey, by the way, one of your songs is in there. I'm asking your permission for it to go ahead and be in there. Is that all right?" Works. And,
Yeah.
send the royalty check.
That's a
to-
Landry move. Yeah.
Get forgiveness rather than permission.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, I wish that
totally
show
love
would come out,
Landry.
man, because I feel like that it was. I mean, I helped write on it too. I think you did too.
Yeah, it was a great concept.
Yeah, and I felt like that, and even like I helped film a bunch of it. I think it was shot pretty well, and I know there was a lot of money poured into it. I hope that eventually something
I hope
happens
something
with it.
comes of it. That's the thing, though. You know, one of the things with filming stuff that you have to learn is that you film something and it may be a year, 2 years. I had a movie that I was in that I filmed and it didn't come out for 3.5 years.
And we all saw Harry Potter.
Yeah. Yeah, 3.5 years
Wow.
waiting for it to come out. And at some point, especially as a background actor, you just do it and hope for the best and try to keep an eye out for when it comes out.
I feel like
to
it
see
had
if
to
you're
be
on
like Roadhouse, right?
it was something very similar to that. It was
He's not
He's
that
really beating around the
old
bush
yet.
on this. I'm like, well,
Yeah.
was
Well,
it
I
a gay
don't- I
porn?
don't-
Was it
I
a
honestly
Christian
don't-
flick? I don't even
Yeah,
know.
he's
At this
not
point,
telling
not
you.
telling me.
I honestly don't remember what the movie was at this point. It was so long ago.
I feel like you definitely should have been in like Roadhouse for sure. Yeah.
I think I should have
Yeah.
too. I think I should have too. I don't know how old I
You
was.
and the guy with the mustache.
Yeah, Sam Elliott.
Sam Elliott, yeah.
Dude, put me in anything with Sam Elliott.
Oh, he's a god. I know. Yeah.
Put me in
That
the far
voice.
background
Yeah.
of Sam Elliott, and I'm there.
That voice, man, it's his voice and like Morgan Freeman's voice. They're like those voices that like you just know them whenever you hear them. You know. He's talking about the Marlboro Man. He's the Marlboro Man.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and he's one of those guys that you want to look at and go, if you're going to say something, it had better be the truth, because I'm going to.
Because I believe you. Yeah, right. That's fair. Yeah.
I'm not fact checking you because
Right.
You have the voice of God, so you might as well tell me the truth.
yeah.
That's funny. I remember the very first time I saw you on stage. I don't remember where it was at, but I think it was an Evans show that we went to, and I was sitting there and I was like, I've heard this guy's name. This is going to be interesting. And you get up there and you look all butch and bikery, and then this Muppet voice comes out. I'm like, holy shit, this voice does not fit this man.
Yeah.
I was thinking like just deep voice, like, and then he's got the high pitched voice, and I love it so much, dude.
The first time I ever did comedy in my life, the first time I actually got on stage to do comedy, was an open mic at the Loony Bin.
Okay.
And Cowboy Bill Martin was the headliner.
Okay, yeah.
And so we did our open mic. We had 5 or 6 open micers, and then the rest of the show went on. Well, when Cowboy Bill went up, he started kind of roasting each of the open micers.
As a good headliner does.
Absolutely, and that was what he said about me. Was he said this guy walked up, and I'm expecting to hear, oh my God, and all of a sudden you sound like an accountant. So from that moment on, that's been my opening line for sets.
I mean, is this your look? Like, have you had this for a long time? I
haven't been clean shaven in well over a decade and a half.
Okay.
You could put some pictures on the. Just saying.
I've seen a picture. You showed me a picture one time.
Nobody wants to see it.
Right after you and your wife got married, in like a car, like a. Yeah, so like a convertible and a picture of you without a beard. I saw it one time.
When you were dating, did you have the beard, the long hair, like?
Okay.
Oh God.
When Tammy and I were dating, I've always been able to grow hair, so I've never worried about what my haircut was or what my hairstyle was. It's from the time I was young, I'd go in and get weird haircuts just because I could, because in 2 weeks it was going to grow out anyway. So when my wife and I met for the very first time, we met at Caravan Cattle Company.
Oh,
why is that
Caravan.
perfect?
Oh, Caravan.
I love the Caravan.
I had a plum purple mohawk.
Oh yeah, nice.
But she had no clue because I wore a cowboy hat the whole time. So, yeah.
I had like a 13-inch mohawk.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
When you took the hat off though, and she saw the purple hair, because she saw it at some point, right?
Well, okay, so the first time she saw
what had happened was he had sex with the hat on.
hat and boots on.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, that's hot.
No, the first time she ever saw me without the hat, because we always met at Caravan, and when we started dating, we would always go to Caravan, so I always had the hat on. But one night, just before we officially started dating, when we were still just hanging out, we were there, and I said, hey, I'm going to go over to the Fox Theater. They're doing Rocky Horror Picture Show, and I always like to go to the Rocky Horror Picture Show. And she goes, cool, I'll meet you there. So we leave Caravan. I'm on my motorcycle. She's in her car. We get to the Fox Theater, and I was wearing black jeans. I had on a pearl snap shirt, my cowboy hat, the whole 9 yards.
Get a cowboy hat?
We get there, and I took my cowboy hat off, and I had my purple mohawk, and I took my pearl snap shirt off, and I had on a black t-shirt. So I looked like I fit with the Rocky Horror Picture Show people, because I did. I've done the Rocky Horror Picture Show forever. I've acted in the cast. She still looked like the little girl from Caravan. She had on her pink little denim jacket and her Rocky Wrangler jeans.
Mm-hmm.
She looked as out of place as anything.
Rocky jeans were the hottest.
Oh, they were.
Remember that?
They were. Rocky Mountain
How old are you,
Wranglers.
KP?
I am 50.
Okay, so I'm just a little younger than you guys, but Rocky jeans were the shit in the 90s.
Oh, yeah. They were.
I couldn't wear them.
Sure you could.
I had a booty. No, they were not for girls with booties. They made
girls without asses look like they had them.
Look
Yeah,
like
true.
they had booties.
That's
It's
right.
like the
If you had a
Wonder Bra.
booty-
Like you
Yeah.
take it off and
Yes.
you wonder where the tits went. You know.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's funny, man.
So yeah, she was surprised the first time she saw it, but
It
by
didn't faze her.
then she was hooked. So
Oh,
it
okay.
didn't matter.
You must dance good.
I do.
Any of the judges and give you shit being long-haired and stuff? Like, is this
No,
something?
you know, what I have run into is anytime they change judges around, they move them around.
Sure.
And anytime I walk into a judge's chamber for the first time, the bailiff will always stop me and go, "Oh, you can't be up here. This is only for attorneys." and I have to go. I have a license to be here.
I could see that.
The judges have never given me a hard time. There was one judge I expected to, because he's an old Navy guy.
Old school, yeah.
Old Navy guy. He thinks you should not darken the door of the courtroom or the courthouse without a coat and tie on.
Sure.
Now, I walk in shorts and a t-shirt to file papers and all
Sure.
this. But if I'm going into
If you're in court, I gotta assume you're wearing a suit. Yeah.
Absolutely. But I expected him to give me a hard time. And one day we were talking, and he goes, "So explain this." And I'm like, "I just started growing it out, and it just felt natural.
Now it's me,
And
yeah.
so that's just who I am." And he goes, "Well, I wondered if you were doing like recreation, like war recreation."
Okay, like Civil War stuff.
Yeah, maybe I was doing Civil War recreation or something like that, and that's why I had this. But he was cool with it. In fact, he was the one of several judges who've gone, "Man, I wish I could grow a beard."
Yeah.
Why can't you just quit shaving?
I think
It happens naturally.
We used to do shows at the High Dive down at 3rd
Yeah,
and
sure.
Trenton, I think is what that
Yeah.
was. Anyway, we used to do a lot of shows there. Well, I got there early to set up one day, and the guy that ran it came over, and he's like, "Hey, I don't know if this is like supposed to be like on the down low or whatever." He said, "But is everything okay with CR?" And I go, "What are you talking about?" "Yeah, he's fine." He goes, "Well, the other day I was down by the courthouse, and I saw him all dressed up going into the courthouse." And I
didn't know he was in
He had no idea. I'm like, "Oh yeah, he's fine."
I told Katie when I found out.
Yeah,
When I found out you were an attorney, 'cause she didn't know at that point. Somebody, the whispers go around, because I just knew you was a comic. I knew you were a comic and musician, I think.
Yeah.
And then somebody said you were an attorney, and I go, "That's interesting." And then I heard from somebody that you had helped out a few comics, and I go,
I have.
"Oh, he's a broke attorney." Comics, he ain't making no money.
That too.
That too. Yeah, but I think that's admirable too. Like, I mean, I know you had to go to school for a long time. You went to good school. I know you went to school at, and I think that's admirable though that you help out people, because you know how we are. Like, we ain't got money, so.
Well, I
all that pro bono work.
Yeah, you've helped some DUIs and stuff.
Yeah.
I've heard stories. So.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm always the worst attorney when it comes to collecting money, because I always look
That's
at
what your
people.
wife is for.
Well, exactly.
Yeah, I believe that too.
I always look at people and I go, well, if I were in their situation, I know I wouldn't have the money to pay
Sure.
them. So I'm gonna work with them as best I can.
Yeah.
And that bites me in the butt every once in a while, but I figure karma's a
bit, dude. I agree 100%. I live off karma, because I know that one day I'm gonna get paid back. I try to be good to everybody. So.
Last week
That's
he
right.
was buying 4 of those lottery tickets, trying to win that 150 billion or whatever the hell it was.
Yeah, 1.5 bill, man.
Yeah.
It was only $700 once you paid your taxes.
Yeah.
Which
Well, I would have done the annuity.
I'm not sure
though.
that's worth.
Just give me the annuity. Pay it out in 20 years. I mean, you get more money that way. And I can't spend that much money. I couldn't spend $750 million. It's so crazy.
I could.
Yeah,
But why wouldn't you?
I can think of 4 guitars I would own instantly that would take about half that.
Yeah.
So that's the problem with being a musician, I guess. Because I would just do what I want to do. I just travel, man.
My biggest fear is that I'm going to pass away and my wife's going to sell the guitars for what I told her I paid for them.
Which is why I stay really good friends with his wife.
That's funny.
Yeah, if I get a cough or start wheezing, he's like, I get the guitars.
Yeah, I know guitars can be really expensive.
Oh yeah.
I saw a thing about I can't think what the guy's name was that owns like the Jimi Hendrix guitar, the electric guitar that Bob Dylan played.
Yeah.
And like some of like the most the Prince's.
Jim Irsay. He owns
That's who it is. Jim
Indianapolis
Irsay. That's who it was.
Yeah.
And I was reading about how his collection, some guy over in the Middle East, some Saudi prince of some sort,
Right.
offered him like $2.5 billion
Wouldn't surprise
for the
me.
collection, and he was like, no, because it's American culture, is what he said.
Right.
He's like, I'm not gonna sell my culture to them. He goes, they're probably not worth that amount, but I know. He goes, I paid a lot of money for them. Some of them.
Yeah.
But Jimmy's guitar, obviously, that flipped upside down Fender or whatever,
Yep.
because he was a lefty. So that's right. He just flipped it upside down.
Yep.
Yeah, because I know he owns the Montrose guitar.
Right. Yeah. Keeping all that stuff in the United States is is essential, and I commend.
Well, having
him
Bob
for
Dylan's
doing
electric
that.
is pretty cool because
yes, it
that
is.
that was a big deal.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
it was. Yes, it was.
Like for Bob to be the folk singer playing electric guitar.
Yep.
And I remember that fried people's brains.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could talk music too,
Yeah.
guys. My dad's a '70s, was a '70s rock aficionado.
Oh, was he?
Oh yeah, man. Like he was the guy that, like, if you played Trivial Pursuit, you wanted him on your team because he knew every music answer. And,
Yeah.
And I remember, like, I don't know, probably like '84, '85. My dad got a new car and he put like a sound system in it, and he like put in the Van Halen '84 album and made me put my head in between the seats so I could hear the music going around.
Yeah.
You know, I was like that kind of
That's very
shit.
cool.
I remember I moved in with Katie, and I was like, "You have a problem with dead people?" She goes, "What do you mean?" And I go, "Well, I'm gonna bring my dad and grandma to live with us because I have their ashes."
Right.
So now they just live up on the mantle with us. It's fun.
So I got a weird one. I moved into this house down in Chakotah, Oklahoma, and
Why were you in Chakotah?
that's where my wife's from.
Country.
And, yeah, and I lived there for quite a while. But anyway, I moved into town and rented this house because rental houses around there are really hard to come by. It's a super small town,
Yep.
and so getting a good rent house is really hard to do. Well, a buddy of mine moved out of the house, and so
Oh, okay. You knew it
I
was
jumped
coming.
on it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I knew when he was moving out, and he hooked me up with the landlord. That way, I got right in there. So they move out, I move right in, and I'm in there for like, I don't know, a month or so, and all this weird stuff was happening.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
And I thought, well, yeah, I thought, well, it's a early 1900s house,
It's
wood
creaking.
It was
floors.
creaking, and yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, you'd be sitting there dead asleep, and all of a sudden the lights start coming on in different rooms, and the TV's turning on and off, and
Nice.
just weird stuff
Nope.
was happening all the time. And I thought, oh, it's just bad electricity in the house, right? It's just wiring's faulty.
Sure.
It's just, is what it is. Well, this goes on for a long time, and I'd have people come over because we had a band, so we had like, drum set in the kitchen, and yeah, and I'd be dead asleep, nobody else in the house, and I hear the cymbals crash.
Nice.
I'm like, what in the hell's going on? So finally, after about a month or so of it, one day, sitting there on the couch, knock at the door, my buddy comes back up. He goes, hey, do you mind if I get up in the attic for a minute? I said, sure, no problem. Because I think we left something behind.
Oh God.
All right, so he goes up, he finds this box and brings it down. And he goes, has some weird stuff been happening? And I was like, you mean like, and I started telling him all this random stuff that he goes, yeah. He's like, that was my wife now, her dad. He said, when we moved to the new house, none of that stuff was happening, so we realized we had to have left something behind.
Oh, weird.
He took the box, never happened again.
That's
Does
so
it continue happening to them though?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. He's
Yeah.
like,
I guess
That was just his
they-
way of like being part of their family.
That's
yeah,
bother
it's
them. That's
so
so
weird.
weird. Yeah.
And I was not like a believer in ghosts and all this stuff. Was not a believer at all until that happened.
Yeah,
I was
don't
like,
don't
"Ugh."
get on TikTok at 3 a.m. You'd be surprised at crazy shit that happens on there.
No kidding.
Find people like, man, I watch some of that weird shit. I go to those YouTube rabbit holes, man. I watch this dude, like, this video. This guy was living in the attic of someone's house, and they finally caught him whenever they put in tape or cameras in their house.
Yeah.
And caught him coming out of the attic at like 3 a.m. and had been living there for months in their attic. Yeah.
Did they
That's
not
wild.
smell anything weird?
I don't know.
That's
Maybe he was really
strange.
They had like food come up missing and like
Right.
and we're hearing weird noises and
That's wild.
and he had partitioned a wall off in the attic.
So it
and
didn't look like
Right,
a
so it didn't
space.
look like there's anything up there. And he's
Wow.
living and he's got like this carpeted room. It has electricity to it. He had ran a vent so he had air conditioning and heating.
That's
like,
wild.
Yeah, like
That
just
is
living in the
nuts.
attic, bro. Yeah. Yeah.
Did he not move when they were home?
I don't know.
I don't
When
know.
you hear
Yeah,
something
that'd
up
be
above
odd.
you, like
That's
crazy.
wild.
Yeah, and I'm out, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no kidding.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Definitely have to move after that.
Well, we probably ought to wrap this thing up. We always end, well, first of all, let me say, don't forget to like, subscribe, ring the little bell. I'm pointing like I know where I'm pointing.
It's right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's somewhere down here.
Yeah.
And if we have anything to link, it'll be up there, I think. Anyway, don't forget to do all that. Where can they find you?
I'll let Katie do it. She's better than me.
Saturday at Tulsa Comedy Club for Best of Oklahoma.
What
What's
about
my socials?
Oh, that's what we're talking about?
Yeah.
Oh, oops, I messed that up. Facebook at, oh gosh, I wasn't prepared.
Rosco's
It's
Comedy.
the Cigar. It's the Cigar.
Rosco's Comedy on Facebook. And then
Rosco's
Rosco the Comedian on Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah.
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 I think that's it.
Perfect.
That's it.
Perfect.
Cool. And for all mine, at KP Troubadour on any social media, or if you want to check out our music and our band page, it's all at Kevin Price Band. That'll take you to all of our pages that are out there to be had. And what about you?
As usual, I'm CR Parsons Comedy or CR Parsons Comedian on all the social medias. You can email us directly at thesmokeyguys@gmail.com, or you can email me at booking@crparsons.com.
Shameless plug?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, shameless
not?
plug. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for
thank
joining
you.
us.
Thanks, guys.
That was
Thank you.
fun.
It was fun.
Yeah.
Well, good to have you guys with us, and until next time,
Stay smoky.
smoky.